In 2017, a company called MoviePass offered Americans a deal that sounded like a misprint. For $9.95 a month, less than the price of a single ticket in most cities, you could go to the movies in a real theater every single day. Not a discount, not a points program, an actual movie a day for roughly the price of one. And here is the part that should have terrified the people running it. There was no catch. MoviePass paid the theater full price for every ticket you used. So if you saw 10 movies in a month, the company collected your $10 and quietly handed the theaters well over 100. They were, deliberately, by design, losing money on nearly every customer they had, and the men running it called that the genius of the plan. Within about a year, it would nearly all be gone, and two of the executives at the top would eventually stand in a federal courtroom and plead guilty to fraud. Before this is over, you are going to see a business model that was engineered from the very first day to lose more money the more popular it became. You are going to meet a man who genuinely helped invent Netflix, lending his credibility to a company doing the exact opposite of what made Netflix work. And you are going to watch the company quietly sabotage its own paying customers, locking them out of the service they had bought just to slow down how fast it was bleeding. This is not a guess about what they knew. Two of the executives, including MoviePass's own chief executive, have pleaded guilty in federal court to securities fraud. The deception is a matter of record. MoviePass had actually existed quietly and unremarkably for years. What changed everything was August 2017, when its new leadership dropped the price to $9.95 and made it unlimited. The effect was instant and explosive. Subscribers went from around 20,000 to over 1 million in a matter of months, and eventually to roughly 3 million people, all paying $10 to see as many movies as they wanted. And the reason serious people believed this could work had a name: Mitch Lowe. Lowe was not a nobody. He had been there at the founding of Netflix and had run Redbox. When a co-founder of Netflix tells you he has cracked the code on movie subscriptions, you listen. His resume was the single most valuable asset the company owned because it made an impossible promise sound like visionary disruption instead of what it actually was. Because the math, once you actually look at it, is not subtle. It is not even close. A subscriber paid about $10 a month. A single movie ticket cost the company, on average, somewhere around $12 to $15 because MoviePass paid full retail price for it. So the company started losing money the instant a customer saw their first movie of the month. The second movie doubled the loss. A genuine film fan seeing 15 or 20 movies could personally cost MoviePass $200 or $300 a month against the $10 they had paid. And the more wildly popular the service became, the faster the money poured out the door. By the middle of 2018, the parent company was burning through more than $40 million in a single month. Now, losing money on purpose is not automatically insane. It is, in fact, the most celebrated playbook in modern technology. Amazon did it, Uber did it, Netflix did it. You lose money to acquire users, grab the market, and turn on the profits later. The trouble is that this playbook contains a hidden, load-bearing assumption, and MoviePass quietly violated it. For Netflix, once the content is licensed and the servers are running, the next subscriber costs almost nothing. The cost per user falls as you grow. That is why scale eventually rescues you. For MoviePass, the cost per user was a physical movie ticket, bought at full price, that never got cheaper no matter how big the company became. Growth did not bring them closer to profit. Growth dragged them faster toward the cliff. They had taken a business with the cost structure of a movie theater and tried to run it with the story of a software company, and those two things can never be reconciled by getting bigger. So how do you sell that to investors? You tell them a better story. MoviePass and its parent company claimed they would make the real money not from tickets, but from data, using, in their words, artificial intelligence to monetize the viewing habits of millions of subscribers. It was a seductive pitch. It was also, according to federal prosecutors, a lie. There was no system capable of turning moviegoer data into anything remotely close to the tens of millions of dollars vanishing every month. The data play was the magic beans, the thing you point at so nobody stares too hard at the hole in the boat. By the summer of 2018, reality arrived. The company was running out of cash so fast that instead of fixing the model, which could not be fixed, the executives chose to quietly break their own product. They started throttling their best customers, the heavy users, losing them the most money. People found their passwords mysteriously changed so they could not log in. The app suddenly demanded photos of physical ticket stubs. Popular new releases simply vanished from the choices. The company had sold millions of people an unlimited pass and was now secretly engineering ways to stop them from using it. In July 2018, MoviePass briefly ran out of money entirely. The service went dark for a day, and the parent company had to take an emergency loan just to turn the screens back on. The stock, which had once made the parent company worth hundreds of millions, began a collapse toward essentially zero, wiped out by reverse splits and delisting. By 2019, the original MoviePass was dead. For a while, it could all be filed under reckless optimism. That changed in a courtroom. Federal prosecutors charged Ted Farnsworth, the chairman and chief executive of the parent company, and Mitch Lowe, the chief executive of MoviePass, with securities fraud. The accusation was that they knew the unlimited model was a money-losing gimmick, knew the data story was empty, and told investors the opposite anyway, to pump the stock. And both men pleaded guilty. The Netflix co-founder admitted in federal court to fraud. This is no longer a debate about intentions. It is a confession. It is tempting to file MoviePass under simple greed, and there was plenty of that. But the deeper, more useful failure is the one almost everyone misses. MoviePass died of a single confused assumption that all lose money now, win later businesses are the same business. They are not. There are two completely different kinds of unprofitable company. In the first, your costs fall as you scale, so growth is a bridge to profit, and burning money is an investment. In the second, your costs are fixed to each unit you sell, so growth is just a faster way to lose, and burning money is simply setting it on fire. Netflix was the first kind. MoviePass was the second kind, wearing the costume of the first. Every dollar they spent acquiring a customer bought them a guaranteed future loss dressed up as momentum. And when the gap between the costume and the corpse underneath got too wide to hide, they did not close it. They lied about it, and that is what turned a doomed idea into a federal crime. So here is the question worth carrying out of this. When a company is losing money to grow, do not just ask how fast it is growing. Ask the boring, decisive question underneath. As this gets bigger, does each new customer cost less or cost the same? Because if the cost never falls, then growth is not the cure. Growth is the disease accelerating. MoviePass sold 3 million people the deal of a lifetime, and every single one of them was another brick tied to the company as it went under. MoviePass decided that losing enormous sums of money was a brilliant growth strategy, right up until it wasn't. It is not the only company to make that bet on a grand scale. Another convinced the smartest investors in the world that renting out desks was a $47 billion technology revolution and lit an absolute fortune on fire, proving otherwise. Same delusion, much bigger numbers. That story is already on the channel and the link is on screen.